The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico and Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle. I'm Paige Clarke, and this is where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, and wild world.
Yeah, to recover our natural health, regain our rights and freedoms. And I'm Nico and Haan.
And it's a great day here. Clear skies, 72 degrees. Hope you're having nice weather where you are. And, before we go on, speaking about the weather, I want to take a moment and please ask everyone to keep all of the people in California wine country. This is my family, my son's father's vineyard, and
Beautiful place.
yeah, and I was wanting to try and find the pictures of you and Ellen in the caves.
Oh, yeah, I have that in my other thing. Okay, yeah.
But Joseph Cellars, right now, it appears their winery and their grapes and home are safe. But boy, have they got friends and family and colleagues and people and clients, because he does the storage and the crushing and the bottling for many of the ventures in Napa Valley. He's top notch, and many people use him. And so go buy some winery at josephcellars.com and support the wine country is all I'm going to say, because this might be a really good time to stock up on California wine, because there may not be some for a while.
I'm definitely going to the wine store this weekend and stock up maybe a couple of cases of wine from California, because...
Order some from Joey.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And, they just said, I got a text this morning, and he said that the winds were calm. It was eerie compared to how it was last night. And that's a lot of what they've been talking about. They've been talking about how it's just so much like these hurricanes, just not normal hurricanes. These, by expert opinion, are not normal forest fires. So, we kind of have to wonder what's going on. We do have this new movie coming out October 20th, released, called Geostorm.
It's funny how the thing happens. I remember when 3 Mile Island went up a year before that, was that movie with Jane Fonda and Michael Douglas. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but it seems like that,
The foreshadowing?
Yeah, kind of foreshadowing.
Is it by accident or on purpose?
Well, who
Well,
knows?
the rumors are that, 3 Mile Island, that's just one of zillions of
If we got
movies.
a couple people that are so powerful that they invent all these things and tell everybody ahead of time, that's
Well,
a pretty good one, that's for sure.
That's their plan. That's what they say they do, is
Yeah.
they tell you in the open what they're going to do.
And nobody knows who they is
Yeah.
or are.
I know who they are, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, we don't really know who they are, but we know when we make the reference that it's a powerful group that's the hidden hand, people that have a hand in things that are not the people that we're seeing on the everyday street. But either way, let's make sure and keep all the people that are suffering from the forest fires in our thoughts and our prayers.
And of
before we go
course,
on.
there's a lot of natural things that go on, like these fires. If you go back in the history books, you'll find out there's a continuous stream of these fires in California every so often. It's not very common, maybe not in our lifetime, but if you go back a couple of lifetimes, then you're going to find these phenomenons do happen.
And it's probably some of these things related to, as you and I have been talking about, is the coming grand solar minimum.
I think so, too.
True climate change, but it's not what they've been telling you and selling you. So on to today's show, folks. We're going to talk a little bit about, I've had a couple questions from people, because you hear me talk about the Weston A. Price Foundation. And the Weston A. Price Foundation is a phenomenal group that really focuses on traditional food and nutrition, and probably has the best research ever, because it was done on real people, not lab rats and not isolated populations.
Yes.
And this article came across, so we're going to cover a couple of things so you can really get the gist of the philosophy of the Weston A. Price, and you'll see it's very much in line with what Nico and I have been sharing
Pretty much, I think.
for years, yeah. And this article is called "The Problem with Protein Powders," and the Weston A. Price Foundation sourced this article. And I just want to start by saying, you know, even so-called what we perceive as to be healthy foods, we have to kind of take a look. Protein powders are a processed food.
That's the first thing I think of. It's processed, so that means that don't use it as a staple. Don't use it on a daily basis if we're talking about these high proteins that we're shoving into our bodies, and this is what bodybuilders do. And one of the things that are on the shelf that is probably one of the worst products are these branched chain aminos. And the reason they're not good, because so much of it is discarded in our body. You absorb maybe 7% of the amino acids in there because they're not complete.
One of the reasons we love Dr. Minkoff's Perfect Aminos is it's using the whole master amino profile.
That's right.
And the body can use it. But that we definitely like that, and we'll talk about why we think that's a great thing to supplement. But let's talk about this. I mean, seriously, Nico.
Well, first of all, these protein powders are claimed to be a substitute for a meal. That's one way of doing it. Other ways of doing it are for boosting your immune system before you do a big workout, or maybe to aid in recovery after workout. That's the three ways I see of using it.
And many people are using it, like you said, just for convenience. You know, if
Yeah.
you pick up any bodybuilding magazine, you'll find pages and pages and ads for protein powders. Or you visit any health food store, they take up the majority of the shelf. And, you know, you'll see establishments feature a whole aisle of protein powders, A to Z, soy, hemp-based, some newcomers like pea and rice protein, you know?
Yep.
And the powders are promoted on the basis that bodybuilders and serious athletes and fitness enthusiasts feel that ordinary people need more protein than they can get from an ordinary diet. But is that true?
Well, it's a kind of a catch-22 in a way, the way I look at it, because certainly if you have a great product like Dr. Minkoff's Perfect Aminos, or even now he has this protein shake, which is not made out of whey or any of these other products that we don't like. So pretty good products, and they do absorb more than other, but it's still a type of, if you're using it as a meal replacement, I would suggest not to use it on a daily basis.
Yeah, because adequate protein is important for everyone.
Yeah, it should be in your diet. It should be what you eat every day with real food.
And especially for those that are really working out, because a lot of heavyweight training, you know, tears down muscles and you build them up. But protein is used for building and repairing muscles, tissues, red blood cells.
Yep.
And, you know, it's necessary for reducing the risk of iron deficiency and to help support your healing after a stress. But, you know, the real question is, should athletes and others, everyday people, imbibe in these protein beverages, shakes, and bars? Again, processed foods. And perhaps, as we're going to find out, and we dive down a little bit more into the teachings and the wisdom of the Wise Traditions diet of Weston A. Price, perhaps the habits of traditional healthy people can give us a clue
I think
of
they
what
can,
we should be doing.
I think that's a way a good looking at it. Healthy traditional people, such as the Paleolithic cultures, lived off of animals of the land and the sea. They preferred organ meats and the fat of these animals, always avoiding the lean meat.
That's the key thing, and you've always shared that. Yeah. Avoiding that lean meat.
And they have, you know, there's cultures that have been raised on rabbits, and rabbits are so lean that there is a disease out there, and I don't know the name of it offhand, but they're so lean you don't get enough fat, so you're starving yourself.
Look what it says here. The Australian Aborigines, if they caught a lean kangaroo or fish during the season when it was low in fat, they discard it. They figured it wasn't worth eating.
There you go.
Let's learn some more of these wise traditions, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back to the show. So we're talking about these powders called protein powders, and one of the things I mentioned before the break was this rabbit situation known as rabbit starvation. I looked it up here. Rabbits eaten have no fat from other sources. So if you're eating a lot of rabbits, you could be actually starving to death because you're not getting enough fat.
Yeah, you're saying the traditional people, they developed this extreme fat hunger, and that's what they called it. And so traditional people knew the importance of eating foods that were sufficient in fat. And the explorer Valdemar Stefansson, who lived among the Inuit and the Indians of Canada, noted that Indians assiduously avoided lean meat. They thought it was inferior. And think about how we go to a restaurant. We say, what lean steak do you have? Do you have a filet?
Yep.
Do you have... the group that depended on the blubber animals are the most fortunate in the hunting way of life, for they never suffered from fat hunger.
Yeah, well, remember in the United States, at least, and maybe worldwide, as a modern culture, we kind of said fat was bad for you, starting in the 1950s, and all the way through till about 2000, we were on this bandwagon of trying to eliminate every kind of source of fat there was, because we thought it was bad for us, or we were told it was bad, and nobody really investigated that much. Now, because of the paleo movement, and because of sites like the Weston Price, we know different. And you and I, for the last decade or so, have been discovering this for ourselves and easing it in slowly. And finally, about 8 years ago, I did a full-blown, and I noticed how much my life improved, how much simpler it was to fix food. And very easy even going out because you knew the things not to eat. And that's the most important thing, I think, when you're switching from the modern type style diet that we have with all this fast food and packaged food and things like this that are given to us by way of advertising to enslave us.
Look at these traditional cultures. Some of them think that a man will die sooner if he eats continually of fat-free food, meat, than if he eats nothing. And this was really part of the thinking of traditional people. Remember that Dr. Price described these people, these traditional people that realized and revered the fats, as people that were well-muscled and hardy, splendid specimens, all exactly what the modern athlete is trying to achieve. They knew that a lean meat diet would make them very sick and eventually lead to death. And so let's explore. What is the science behind this danger that seems to have been known, that the lean meats we're going to create problems down the road.
Well, first of all, the utilization of protein requires vitamin A. Several animal studies have shown that the liver reserves of vitamin A are depleted by a high dietary intake of protein, while vitamin A increases in non-liver tissues.
So let's talk about that. You know, vitamin A, to this day, you ask most people, oh, I eat lots of carrots or I eat my greens. They think they're getting beta carotene, and they've been misled to think that's vitamin A. Folks, that's not vitamin A. That's a precursor to vitamin A. So we're looking at good animal sources, the cod liver, the liver in animals.
Yeah.
So we want to see that
So
happen.
one explanation for this is the adequate protein is necessary for vitamin A transport. In one study, researchers fed radioactively labeled vitamin A to rats on low protein and high protein diets using this, the amount of
Radioactivity present in their gas when they were exhaling.
Okay, urine and feces as a measure of the metabolism of vitamin A, and found that vitamin A is indeed used as a higher rate on a high protein diet.
Well, yeah, so the higher the protein, the more you need the vitamin A. But unfortunately, you've got a lot of bodybuilders that are fat phobes, and they won't eat any fat, and so they're not getting the fat-soluble activators that are important for keeping them healthy.
So they're really wasting the vitamin A.
Well, and not really being able to utilize their protein well. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Chris Masterjohn, PhD, he's really a rather well-followed person and very active in the Weston A. Price. He says vitamin A is not only depleted by a high intake of protein, but it is also necessary for the synthesis of new protein, which is the goal of the bodybuilder after all.
Yeah, that's rats-fed diets deficient in vitamin A synthesize protein at a lower rate than the rats that fed adequate vitamin A. A cultured skeleton muscle cells increase the amount of protein per cell when exposed to vitamin A and D, but not when exposed to vitamin D alone.
See, that's another thing I get concerned about. Everyone's running out and supplementing their vitamin D, and what we know is these fat-soluble activators, vitamins A, D, E, and K, are like a symphony, and you need to have them in the proper ratios. So many people are getting excess vitamin D. They don't have the K to balance it, and then not the A to balance everything else. So as we've learned.
Well, in other words, they're saying that eating lean meat or taking a protein powder sends a signal to the liver, send me more.
Vitamin A.
Exactly.
Right.
So protein consumes in the absence of fat, with its precious cargo of fat-soluble vitamins, including vitamin A, is an efficient way.
Effective way.
Effective way of rapidly depleting your liver of vitamin A stores. Not a good thing.
Great way to maybe get that in if you're not getting the right amounts of vitamin A is to pop a cod liver oil capsule when you're eating your dinner meal. So you've got that vitamin A source. Yeah. Well, I like Dropey. Yeah.
Both
yeah,
work,
they're both good. So what happens when the liver becomes depleted of vitamin A so that none can be made available to the body when it's needed? And because vitamin A is key to almost every process in the body. It's kind of the concert master.
The orchestra leader?
Yeah, the orchestra leader, so to speak. Not only for protein synthesis, but also for hormone production, including sex hormones like testosterone and thyroid hormones. So vitamin A deficiency is rampant, and what do we see? We see a rampant
decline in the health of these things.
In hormones and thyroid activity and immune function. We think of vitamin A as being part of how we rebuild our endothelial cells, our nasal passages, our lung tissue. And when we're low in that, we really get a hard time. It's critical for healthy vision, folks, and hearing, and it plays a role in bone health and works in tandem, as I said just a few moments earlier, with vitamin D3 and vitamin K2.
And listen to this. He says a diet of lean meat or one that incorporates protein powders is a recipe for hormone disruption, fatigue, depression, bone problems, autoimmune disease, vision and hearing problems, heart disease, and even cancer. That's quite a list.
That's quite a list, and we've got a lot of people that are, sculpting their bodies, but creating hormone havoc with these situations that can arise.
Yep.
So the resulting proteins are invariably denatured. Many of these protein powders from sources that we don't know, although some are the very tough proteins like protease inhibitors. They survive this processing treatment. So the protease inhibitors keep you from being able to digest the protein.
Of course, they use a lot of things in there, too, that we probably wouldn't consume, like the soy types of protein. Of course, we have whey protein. Is it from grass-fed cows, or is it from a cow that's just eating what it's put in front of it? So there's a lot of problems with these things. Also, a lot of them are the vegetarian type, where they use a lot of pea-type protein or bean-type protein. And these can be problems because these inherent seeds carry along with them some phytates and anti-nutrients that actually make it worse for you.
And that's my concern, folks.
Yep.
Many of these protein powders that people are taking are made with the least expensive protein source, such as soy isolates. And these, as I've always told you, soy is not a toy for the girl or the boy. They contain these phytates. We don't absorb them. They stimulate estrogen receptors. And I think it's just a bad way around. They can block your testosterone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Stick
we'll
around,
be right
folks.
back and explore this more. Stay with us.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. Nico and I are talking about the problem with protein powders from the Weston A. Price Foundation. This is an excellent article that overviews some of the things we need to be aware if we choose to use some of these protein powders. And one of the things we want to say is you don't want to live off of these things. It can be an adjunct to your stuff, but we want to understand what some of the pros and cons are these. We discussed previously that soy is not a toy for the girl or the boy.
Yeah, and a lot of these have that in it. And now they're kind of slowly being
Phased out.
yeah, because there's been, for the last 10 years or so, we've been talking about this. They use things like almond milk. They use hemp protein powder.
Coconut milk.
Coconut
You're
milk.
seeing some,
But these
I
are
think
highly
that's-
processed foods, too.
They really are. I mean, there's still a processed version. I mean, you can make your own nut milks, you can make your own coconut milk, but the truth is many of these are processed and add stabilizers.
They have to add stabilizers. They also use a extraction method, which is really high in heat, which automatically really destroys most of the protein aminos.
Yeah, this is a comment that many of these are separated from the fiber by boiling in caustic alkaline solutions and then spray drying at very high temperatures, leaving the protein denatured and possibly toxic.
And what are they spraying that with to dry them out? It's got to be something not good. I haven't.
Well, I think that the key thing is I think they're spraying them out so that on a
Yeah,
tin.
but then they use a liquid on top of it. I've seen the spraying.
Okay.
Yeah, and that helps them dry out. Hemp powder may not carry a lot of.
You're talking about hemp now?
Well, we can talk about all of them.
Well, first we went through soy has
Yeah.
kind of been turned off, and so now hemp protein may carry a lot of the isoflavonoids, which
Yeah.
people are saying are beneficial because they balance the bad estrogens, but it does also contain cannabinoids. And we might think that's kind of a good thing.
Maybe.
Because we're kind of pro the same substance found in its cousin marijuana, but they're not at the same levels.
No, I can't see that useful in any way of this.
Well, hemp powder has some benefits. It's got a full spectrum of amino acids. So, but, again, the Weston A. Price Foundation is saying, again, we need to be concerned with the number of alkaloids because the cannabinoids is a type of alkaloid. Is it getting to be excessive? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
And then finally,
pea protein. That's a lot. They're using that a lot as an isolate, and any protein in an isolate is bad. I think it should be a concentrate where the fat is still in there. So they strip it from.
the word isolate is a no-no, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, if you see that on your protein powder, just put it back on the shelf.
Yeah, and then most of them do have that. I have a heck of a time going through the store and looking for a concentrate. I did that
Premier's
for many years.
whey protein is a
It's
concentrate.
very good, and there's a few of them that are good, but none of them taste that good. The new one from Dr. Minkoff, I think, tastes the best. It seems to sit the best with me.
Bodyhealth.com.
Bodyhealth.com. It's very rich chocolate. I think they're going to come up with some other flavors. It just came out with them, and I've been using it maybe a couple times a week when I do jujitsu. Again, I'm not going to use it on a daily basis. The only type of powder that I do use on a daily basis may be some of my supplements in capsule form or powder form, and the perfect aminos are an example of that. But as far as the high protein types of things, I'm not going to use those every single day because it's a manufactured food. But they are handy.
But I think it's good for people to know this. That's why we're covering this, because there's just so many people think because they cover the shelves, they just must be healthy, and they're not necessarily.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like many of these proteins, again, they're not properly soaked. These legumes maybe are not, and then they create phytic acids that make them difficult to digest. So even though soy protein is derived from the waste products of the soybean industry, that's kind of gross to start with.
Yeah, that's for sure. They don't say that on the label, that's for sure.
It's the industry's way of making a profit out of the high-protein sludge left over after soybean oil production, an even worse food, I think.
Yeah, and the whey, of course, is a waste product of the cheese industry. That's the stuff they toss out.
Yeah, but actually in the past, before Big Ag came along with its insane idea of separating all the species on the farm and raising them in single species, feedlots, the whey from cheese making was fed to the pigs on the same or the neighboring farm. And this is still the system that they use in Italy. The whey from the production of Parmesan cheese goes to the pigs on nearby farms to produce delicious prosciutto ham.
Interesting.
That's one of the things. These other countries still adapt normal farming processes, processes that produce healthy animals.
Yeah,
this is hard to do when all of our pigs in South Carolina are in buildings.
Exactly. We have to ship it all the way across, and they're in buildings.
Disgusting.
And they're all with other pigs. And that's a problem. We know that wheat fields get targeted by insects because there's so much of it. If you have it interspersed with other things, you're not going to get the same type of epidemic of insects. And the same thing with when you hoard animals into a big herd, then you're going to have a problem, especially if they're confined. If they're running around like big herds, that's fine.
Right.
But if they're confined in a certain small area, now that big herd is really the breeding grounds for all kinds of disease. And this is why we have the antibiotics and all these other things.
So let's talk now. We've talked about these plant-based proteins. What about whey? Is whey the way to go? Well, maybe not. Maybe so, if it's done right.
That's exactly right.
The problem with whey is that it eats up concrete, the article says, so you can't put it in the sewers. That's just Sally Fallon taught us that. She's such a piece of wisdom.
And again, a lot of this is a big slurry of this protein, and they isolate it, and they heat it, and they extract it with chemicals.
Yeah, don't worry. The industry has figured out how to turn this delicate substance into a powder. In a complicated process, the liquid whey separated from the pasteurized milk that goes into most cheese manufacturers put under pressure, forced through a membrane to separate out the proteins from the smaller molecules. This happens at least twice as microfiltration and then ultramicrofiltration. They use a lot of pressure, 300 to 100 psi. And does this damage the whey proteins?
Well, according to one internet source, the pressure, although not considered excessive, is enough to change the hydrogen-bonded structure of water, and therefore would also disrupt the protein structure itself.
Yeah, that's a footnoted comment.
Yep.
So this, we have to be concerned that many of these whey proteins are denatured, and you need to find sources. I have a few sources of whey protein that, if you're going to choose whey protein, which it does have benefits for detoxification, and you want it in a powder form, I suggest eating the real foods, your curds and whey, because one of my favorite things that I do is I drink raw liquid whey, from Beyond Organic. Raw liquid whey is a wonderful source of glutathione. That's the body's master detoxifier.
Yeah. So if there's any life in some of these products, like the whey proteins, after they structure it in a certain way, it actually becomes pasteurized. It goes through a filtering process, and then the liquid is forced out of a nozzle at 250 degrees centigrade to produce a powder. This certainly results in the denature of the proteins and oxidation of the tiny particles. So another big problem there.
Yeah, so the real question remains, what are our protein requirements? What do we really need? What's the truth? And do those who undergo vigorous training and workout, or even ordinary sedentary people, do we need extra protein? Do the young people need more protein? Do older people need it? What are the protein requirements based on
for a
Western
guy,
diet?
maybe 75. For
Let's
a
find
woman,
out what
maybe
they
50.
say.
Okay.
Yeah. What do they say? Hey, you were right on target.
I was?
Yeah, that's what they say. For women, protein requirements vary with age, gender, weight, and physical activity level. But standard may vary from 50 to 100 grams per day. For women, for about 50 to 75 grams per day.
Okay.
And
if vigorous training, you need more. Okay, we'll continue this right after the break. So stick around, folks.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
So as we were saying before the break, the requirements of the protein that we need is about 500 or 50 to 100 grams per day for men, and maybe about 50 to 75 grams per day for a woman.
There are people that are eating too much.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think a lot of people are. A good way to gauge our protein intake is to think of protein foods as providing blocks of about 25 grams of protein. In round numbers, it would kind of go like this. 1 serving of meat, liver, poultry, or fish, about 100 grams, 3 or 5 ounces. A serving of cheese, about 80 grams or 3 ounces. 4 eggs or 3 cups of milk. A woman's protein requirements are met with 2 or 3 of these units, and
Right.
a men's would be about 4 of these units. And when I look at it, it says here man would be thus serving maybe 2 servings of meat, 1 serving of cheese, 4 eggs, or 3 cups of milk will provide about that adequate thing. And that's pretty much in the ballpark of what I'm doing. Then on top of it, the American Medical Association would say, well, now you have to add your 8 servings of vegetables and fruits on top of this, which I don't do. I probably do about maybe a quarter to a half of that,
Right.
which is fine. And I think so. There's not really a daily requirement for fruits or vegetables, even though they tell you there is. There's no requirement for whole grains. There's no requirement for carbohydrates at all. We like it because it does help, and carbohydrates to me are medicine.
You know, the more you say that, so many people would disagree with us on that conversation,
Yeah.
you know, because it's eat a rainbow and everything. But the key thing is that we're in a more toxic world today, and the more colorful vegetables you eat, and it doesn't have to be a large amount, the more you get the frequencies that we need.
Yeah.
And like you said, we've talked about spices as being the medicine
Another one,
cabinet.
yeah.
Well, so are the colors, you know, so that's a really good
And
thing.
you don't spice your vegetables that much. You spice your meats, pretty much, and your fats. Those are things that you spice.
So we've got a lot of people that are turning to these protein powders when in fact they should turn to wise traditions of real foods. And even these athletes and marathon runners and people that are doing triathlons and stuff with increased protein needs, they need to get their nutrition from real food.
Yeah.
And they need to pay close attention to getting enough of the fat-soluble activator, vitamin A, to assimilate that protein. It's not going to do you good to continue to take protein and not get it. As Chris Masterjohn, PhD, warns, bodybuilders and other athletes interested in gaining muscle have an interest in boosting their levels of testosterone and other growth factors and maximizing their utilization of protein and incorporating it into their muscles. But typical recommendations usually include very high amounts of protein, but they exclude the foods like liver that are high in vitamin A, and low-fat recommendations all but banish the vitamin A that you're going to get. They just don't exist in these low-fat foods. You're going to find your vitamin A in grass-fed butter, in liver, in the egg yolk. And all these bodybuilders are tossing the egg yolk, the good part, and eating the egg white. It's almost an upside-down world.
It is.
So this combination of high-protein diet that depletes vitamin A and a low-fat diet that fails to provide vitamin A is a clear recipe for deficiency of this vital nutrient.
Yeah, and exercises elicit a lot of high demand of this type of vitamin A. Exercises, the big ones that move your big muscles, like your squats and your deadlifts, are often recommended for muscle growth. But if you don't have vitamin A in your body, you're really stressing your body out, and it's not going to have that rebuilding that it needs.
And when you really understand that the sex hormones, vitamin A is a precursor to all of the endocrine hormones, such as thyroid, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, etc. Yeah. It's high time for athletes to forget the modern mantras and remember that dietary wisdom of the past, of our ancestors, for achieving a lean, muscular body through traditional foods. And we're going to hit them again. Liver. Egg yolks. Full fat, raw milk. Butter from grass-fed cows, and cod liver oil are your best sources.
Yeah, that's for sure. And by the way, the studies have shown that excess protein does not build muscle bulk. What builds muscle bulk in healthy athletes is strength exercise. As one blogger puts it, Tom wants to make his upper body bigger and increase his upper body strength to impress women, of course. He goes to the local health food store where he is told to increase his protein intake by eating protein shakes at each meal. He then goes to his sports medicine doctor and a sports dietitian who tell him to eat a moderate amount of protein and swim 3 times a week, plus do upper body strengths. Which do you think is going to work?
Well, I think that the fact that if he doesn't have enough vitamin A, he's going to be in bad shape, Yeah,
everybody's predisposed a little differently. Your body is completely different than mine, even though I don't mean this sexually, is that you probably, the way when you work out, your body reacts so fast. That's the type of body you have, a lot of these short twitch muscles. Mm-hmm. I have more longer twitch muscles. I work out like crazy, and you don't see it on me as easily. You see it down the road from a lifetime of working out. But there are people that I know that, my buddy Rick, he can drop 20 pounds like that, put on muscle like that. He eats a really terrible diet. He doesn't care too much about eating. And those things, then he says, oh, the doctor told me the other day, he came over and he said, the doctor told me I had to either go on blood pressure medicine or drop 20 pounds. He says, I dropped to 20 pounds in 8 days. Not really healthy.
There are a lot of people that can really
he can do this, and a lot of people can do this. And
how come I didn't get that gene?
What's that?
I want that gene.
Well, you have a little bit of that gene. That's what I'm saying.
I can build the muscle, but sometimes
losing
when
the
I
fat
get the
for
weight,
women is definitely a harder
It
thing
is.
to do than men is. That's for sure.
So, there's other protein powders that are on the scene, folks. Rice protein is the latest darling of the health food industry, and this appeals to many vegan brands. And, many of these foods, these egg white powders, they're also spray dried at very high temperatures, and it may actually be hyperallergenic, folks.
Yeah,
many of us have a hard time digesting egg whites anyways.
Yeah, cranberry protein, really made from the skin of cranberries, pressed for juice, another waste product. Of course, the skin of the apples or the cranberries is not the thing you want to choose. You want to choose the inside of it, where all the vitamins
are. It says artichoke protein. What will they think of next? Advertised as rich in inulin, a very difficult to digest carbohydrate made of fructose molecules. It's bound to cause flatulence and mess up your liver for good. So guys, and here's the bone broth protein, likely to be a major source of glyphosate, unless made with organic pasture-fed products. Best to make your own broth for the bones of grass-fed animals. So again, where are these bone broth protein companies sourcing?
Where's the bones coming from?
Where are the bones coming from? And we know now that glyphosate, Monsanto's Roundup is just insidious. So I like what the comment of this article is, that many times these things that we're sold and told are good for us are actually a way for an industry to get the biggest bang from the buck, to squeeze the last bit of money out of that product.
And that's what our capitalistic republic is all about, is the number one ingredient for success is the profit margin. And when we can squeeze that out, and we put that, unfortunately, in front of health. And
That's the problem. I think we need to have disclosure, and we need to be educated, and we can't count on people giving us the truth, because we know that the powers that be, it's not really their idea to give us the truth, it's to give us the information that benefits someone.
Yeah.
So we have to do our own work, and that's
So there's
what we're doing here.
some other ingredients in here, so we'll talk about that right after the break.
See you in a minute.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit tfnn.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Okay, the problems with protein powders. We want to teach you how to look for good stuff. And really our goal here is to encourage you to get your protein sources from real food raised in its natural environment. But we went through some of the things about different types of protein powders. Let's get to that other area, the other ingredients, because very few protein powders come without a number of added ingredients.
The first one, really, because the powders tend to be very, very bitter, you have to add some kind of sweetener to it.
Unfortunately, in the fitness world, kind of oxymoron-ish, you'll see sugar and high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, and both of those we know are problems. And the most common artificial is this
Sucralose.
Sucralose.
And that is not, these are all considered some of the most dangerous sweeteners out there, and they show up on many of the labels, and yet people just buy them anyways.
Yeah, and those are the little packages that are yellow and pink, some of them. Those are the ones you do not want to use. That's for sure. I'd
Yellow, pink, and blue.
I'd rather see you use some raw sugar of some kind that is organic, and or maybe a little bit of honey.
Yeah, and
would be okay.
maltodextrin, when you see that, guys, that's a sweetener made from corn, and we know the effect of corn on our insulin response. So then, amino acids. The most common is L-glutamine, probably neurotoxic and very bad news for those allergic to free glutamates.
Yeah, a lot of products contain these, a whole host of free amino acids compounds that can be drug-like effects, have drug-like effects, and should only be used under the direction of a qualified practitioner. So a lot of these are neurotoxic.
Exactly. Too much L-glutamine can cause neurotoxic effects.
So there really has to be a balance in these amino acids, and that's why I think
that's why I like the whole master profile versus over. But that's true. These get heavy in those glutamines, and not the glutamine. We talk about healing our gut with L-glutamine, but there's an excess in the way these are produced.
Yeah.
And vegetable oils. I mean, believe it or not.
These include like sunflower oil and soybean oil. And one label claims illegally that soybean oil will protect against heart disease. That's a false claim for sure.
Absolutely. And when you see these additives that say natural and artificial flavorings, food dyes, Coregion, cellulose gum, xanthan gum, these are not necessarily healthful additives. They're there to preserve shelf life, increase the speed with which the product transports through manufacturing. And how about this? Cookie pieces.
Yeah, I've seen that actually in a couple of them. They actually have like a cookie dough or something like that in it, which is kind of...
Yeah, so...
The other thing is coca and chocolate. Workout buffs seem to love their chocolate, and I do, and it's added to a lot of these products. Can be a problem if it's done incorrectly.
Well, I like getting raw. I really like getting unflavored or vanilla-flavored, plain powders if I do use them, and adding my own flavor, like raw cacao, and you get the raw chocolate. So.
Or you can put berries.
Again,
this is a good place to put your fruit,
if you're doing this 1, 2, 3 times a day, you're living off these, you're adding them. This is where I think you get into trouble.
Yeah.
If once or twice a week you have a smoothie because you're using it to supplement a meal, or you had a hard workout, or you just feel like you don't want the stress of digesting a meal. Or sometimes it's great to do.
The other thing is too, sometimes you're just in a hurry and you need something fast, and this is a good way to do it. Again, not every day, but if you find a good source of it, like at Body Health, highly recommend you go there and check it out. It's a really rich, deep chocolate coca flavor to it. So if you like chocolate, it's there. And they don't have the unflavored ones. But I've used unflavored ones before. The problem I have with the unflavored ones is that they don't mix well. It's just like the Naked Whey, which seems to be a really nice product, and it just doesn't absorb well in the body. It's just, I can feel it kind of sitting there for a while.
Right.
And these isolates, those are the worst ones.
That's what I want to encourage you folks. Yeah. Most of the sports athletes products are using isolated whey products, isolated protein. If you see the word isolate, put it down. Look for one that says concentrate. I think you're going to get a better product. If you need help, I can help source some real good stuff for you from my office co-op, Nico, through bodyhealth.com, our friends, Dr.
And
Minkoff.
if you see it as an isolate, you say, no way.
That's right. Have a great day. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.